Hey, everybody. Wrestling Observer Radio, July 19th, 2009, figure4online.com/wrestlingobserver.com. Going to get Dave here on the line in a little while, but first off, Vinny and I are going to recap segment by segment. I think the worst pay-per-view in years. This pay-per-view was horrible. Horrible.
It's hard to argue with that claim.
I don't even know what else to say.
This was the worst pay-per-view of this year for sure.
I should do a Chris Jericho promo and start reading out of the thesaurus. Horrible, wretched,
vile,
appalling,
useless,
atrocious, insulting,
devoid of merit.
God, this was horrible. This show did not have a single match above 2.5 stars. It had one match that I gave -5 stars.
And that may have been generous.
Can't believe the last time I gave a match. I can't even remember the last time I gave a match 5.5 stars. -5 stars.
Had the worst match I've ever seen.
Jesus, it was for sure the worst women's match I've ever seen. I would have to look at a whole bunch of the worst matches of all time to determine if this was actually the worst match I've ever seen in my whole life.
I have not seen Sheik and Volkov versus the Bushwhackers in many years, nor Pat Patterson versus Gerald Briscoe and the gown match.
There's no way that was worse than this.
This was for sure worse than the Naturals versus Chris Del Sol and Matt Farmer.
There's no way this was worse than Patterson and Briscoe, because those guys have been around long enough that I don't think that it's possible they could have a -5 star match. Maybe
yes.
-3, perhaps even -4. But there's no way. -5 stars is like...
It is a perfect bad rating.
Someone asked me, are you sure it wasn't -4 3/4? And the answer is no, I'm sure it's -5. Because to me... -5 is one of the worst matches I have ever seen. And Sheik and Volkov versus the Bushwhackers, I remember that off the top of my head. That was actually more than -5 stars. But I will probably never forget this match. I probably will never forget it as long as I live.
I will never recover from this match. I will never be the same again.
It was Jenna Maraska, everybody, the Survivor chick, and Charmel. I've never even seen anything like this.
From the get-go.
In every conceivable way.
When
I've never...
Charmel walked out in her sequined gown with black knee-high wrestling boots.
Yeah.
You knew you were in for something special.
Oh, my God. This show. And it gets worse. Last month, I at least praised TNA because we've got 2 pay-per-view channels now. We've got the regular pay-per-view and the HD pay-per-view. And the regular TNA pay-per-view was $30, and the HD version was also $30. And I thought, TNA sucks, but at least I don't have to pay any extra for the HD version. Not this month!
Great.
This month I paid $40 for this show. $40 I paid for this pay-per-view. 4 people bought a month subscription to pay for this pay-per-view. I don't know which 4 of you that is, but I'm sorry.
You should give those people their money back.
I actually, a couple of pay-per-views ago, called Comcast to see if I could get my money back for a TNA show.
I do recall that.
And they told me no. Maybe if enough people call this time, maybe they'll tell me yes. This was so bad. The badness of this pay-per-view. Tara and Angelina Love, one of the rare highlights of this show, they had a Knockouts title match, and it was 2 stars, an average women's wrestling match. Crowd was hot early.
Yeah.
So for those of you that say, they need to get out of Orlando, these crowds suck. No! This crowd was really good for this match.
We watched this match for reasons we don't need into here. We ended up watching this match last.
Yeah.
So we had just watched the whole show going off the air after Kurt and Foley. We were drained. We were miserable. Our friend who was here had left. We did not want to see anymore. And then we watched this match. Everything was happy. The crowd was hot. They were chanting. They were cheering for the spots, not just like trying to get themselves excited. No, they were into the match and enjoying it for what it was, and it was fun. And then things just went off an immediate cliff. I said, and you disagreed with this, but I said this is the best thing in the show by a large margin.
Well, it wasn't. It was an average match. The crowd was at least into it. But if you'd put the crowd in any other matches, those matches would have all, I guess, maybe been better. But anyway, Tara made a comeback. Velvet tried to spray Tara in the eyes, but sprayed Angelina on accident, and then Angelina immediately kicked out. So they killed the gimmick. I can't call this the best match on the show when they killed the one gimmick they had. Heels got sent to the back. Tara missed a moonsault, and Angelina covered her and got the pin. Tara had her feet on the ropes, but the ref didn't see it. So they interviewed him later, and he said that He was not reversing this decision. The referee's decision was final. Blah, blah, blah. She ended up, Tara gave him a super kick and then put the spider on him afterwards. And the spider, this 2-ounce spider, pinned it down the referee. He could not escape. It was like a 200-pound plate had been put on his chest. Mm-hmm. And that was the end of that. This,
I cannot say they killed the gimmick because she got sprayed in the eyes. Tara rolled her up, and then the referee immediately distracted himself with Madison Rayne and Velvet Sky for several seconds. So she was pinned for like a 12 count before she finally kicked out.
She's still kicked out of the spray in the eyes. They use that for every match as the finish. This would be like if Randy Orton hit his kick, and the referee was down for 12 seconds, and the guy kicked out. It would kill it.
You're also comparing the kick that has put men out for months to a hairspray spot that just ends matches.
Well, sure, but at least it ended matches. At least it was something that you could use that people believed is a finish. Now they don't even have that. Now
it's a finish if the ref's paying attention.
No, I don't buy it. They killed the hairspray for no reason.
I don't think it matters, but I disagree.
Did we need the ref to be distracted and kick out of this in the first match? I realize you watched this at the end of the show after we'd seen everything else. But imagine if this was the first thing you saw all night.
That probably would have annoyed me.
A women's match for...
Well, except that at this point, I just expect bullshit in every match from TNA, and I usually get it. So this would have been it. It comes with the territory.
I don't care. It's still stupid. I'm not giving them a pass because they're TNA. This sucked. Then we had Borash interviewing Angle, who flat out said, "Tonight, you're not going to get a pay-per-view quality match."
Yes.
I swear to God.
That is a direct quote. In fact, we repeated it.
Yeah. Said he was going to beat Foley quickly, and that would be that. And he also said if Joe, Booker, Nash, and Steiner did not walk out of the show with titles tonight, he was going to fire them on the spot. And they just looked at him. Yeah. All right. Matt Morgan and Chris Daniels.
Matt Morgan versus Daniels.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's apparently just his name now. He is just Daniels. I don't know if they thought they had too many Chris's. Although I think all the others are gone.
Chris Park.
That may have been it.
Matt Morgan and Chris Daniels. Matt Morgan can't even lock up. After all these years, he cannot do a lock up.
He was very bad this evening.
He was horrible. Daniels did all he could, but what can you do? So they did a bunch of stuff. Morgan worked over Daniels' leg. Yes, not the little guy going after the big guy's leg. The big guy went after the little guy's leg. I guess to stop him from jumping all so much.
Well, you see,
high flying.
It all started when Daniels just jumped over the ropes to land on the floor, and in the process hurt his leg. So the heat spot was the babyface was stupid and hurt himself.
Then he did a bunch of cradles on the Giant, which didn't work, and finally went for the BME, but the leg gave out, at which point several people in the front row began laughing.
Yeah.
And then he ate a kick and a elevator for the pin. Depressing.
It was depressing.
I gave it a 1.5 stars. I don't even know why it was so generous.
You take a star off that right now. This is a bad match, everyone. It was a bad match, and the only thing to add to this is that in between Chris Daniels hurting himself and then missing a move to get pinned, we saw Matt Morgan just beat him up forever and ever and ever and ever. And
it was actually about 2 minutes, but it felt like 2 hours.
It felt like an eternity. And then he missed an elbow, but he's so bad that in the process of missing this elbow, he still hit him.
Yeah.
Bad.
Borash interviewed Stevie and Daphne, and Dr. Stevie spoke of Abyss with an analogy related to painting. Not medicine. Painting. Said tonight's match was no DQ. So every TNA match.
He actually said, that's why I had to make this match no DQ. And then he turned to Borash and said, I know what you're thinking. And I was thinking, how do you, Dr. Stevie, have the power to make this match no DQ? But it was never addressed.
No.
So he just did. And everyone said, okay. Perhaps Stevie's a champion of something.
He might be. That's how he has the power.
Maybe he's a champion doctor, and thus he has power to make matches.
Daphne told him that she loved him, and he said, I know. So apparently he's working over her mind as well. Dr. Stevie and Abyss. As I look at all the ratings I gave the show, I look back on it, and I realize I gave everything way too good a rating. I gave this 2.25 stars. I mean, it was Abyss beating the shit out of Stevie forever. Stevie bled like crazy. Abyss kept beating on him. Daphne came down with a taser. Lauren broke it up. And then Abyss hit the black hole slam and used the taser, which caused smoke to rise from the body of Stevie.
Has anyone in TNA ever actually seen a taser used? Or
I think they really used it on Abyss a while back, but that's different
they
story
don't
entirely.
generate smoke.
Anyway, a fun little segment of violence, I guess. There was nothing to the match, but Abyss beat him up for a long time and then won. Okay, 2.25 stars.
Many things worse on the show than this. Yes, they did crowd brawling, and then it was Abyss killing him forever. If it was as the payoff to a big scary monster finally getting revenge on the little guy who's been fucking with him for months and months and months, it was what it should have been, and it was fine.
Foley gave a pep talk to AJ and Beer Money, and he explained that if they lost the titles tonight, all of their jobs were in danger on Thursday.
Right.
Why?
Power, Brian.
I would bet that none of them lose their job on Thursday.
I guarantee it.
And he also told them to please retain the belt so the main event wouldn't come down to everyone relying on him.
Yes, he made sure to know that he had no confidence in himself.
This is so great.
By the way, everyone, this is not a comedy promo.
No, this was dead serious.
What we're saying is what he said, but he said it in a sincere and grave manner.
Yes. Amazing.
What a bad show.
Team 3D and the British Invasion for the IWGP tag team titles. They said if Team 3D lost, they would not only lose their belts, but also their upcoming New Japan bookings.
Yes. And they noted the big payoff that goes with them.
I gave this 2 stars. It wasn't bad until the finish.
Yeah, it was
which
going
was
along,
the story of this show, in fact.
In many ways. But yes, it was going along perfectly fine. 3D, of course, are a good tag team. Doug Williams is a good wrestler, and Brutus Magnus, when he's surrounded by 3 other people who are that talented, can fit in and not screw anything up. So everything was going okay, and then 3D got the tables.
Stop right there.
All right.
Team 3D got the tables. Since when are tables allowed in a match? I know I yell about this every single time, but we just had a guy make a match a no disqualification match so he could use gizmos. And now these guys are just using tables just for the hell of it.
Right.
So they bring this table into the ring, and the ref says, you can't use this.
Mm-hmm.
Does he call for the bell?
No. You do not count to 5.
No. He starts taking the table apart himself to get rid of it.
Well, first of all, he just started waving his hands in front of Bubba. You can't use the table. And Bubba ignored him because the referees in TNA are completely impotent. And then the British Invasion jumped Bubba and started doing spots with them. And yes, then the ref began to take the table down.
So the ref's taking the table apart, and Rob Terry, I believe, who they just announced as the Big Muscle Man, which actually should be his ring name. The Big Muscle Man. The Big Muscle Man hit the ring, but they just threw him outside. And then they hit the 3D on Williams, and the ref just came over and counted the pin. What was the point of the table distraction? Just to do it.
Just to do it.
It did not play into the end of the match at all.
And the best part was, it took you about 3 seconds to describe what happened. It actually took like 15 to break down.
Yes.
This ref was playing with this table for an hour.
Yeah.
Just sat over it, couldn't get the legs bent, couldn't get it onto his side, couldn't get it onto his back, and then gave up and turned around and counted 3.
Bashir and Kiyoshi at the ring. They tossed the Japanese guy outside and then put the mad Iraqi through a table.
Hell of a run-in.
With the bubble bomb off the top. Probably setting up a match next month, I would guess.
Sure. But you would think that you wouldn't want, 3D to get beat up and so they could get revenge? No. The Sheik ran out, got beat up, and I guess he'll want revenge.
This was where we had Slick Johnson doing an interview talking about how he made a mistake and he was going to talk to Mr. Cornette and demand a title rematch be signed for later. Who? Mr. Cornette. He's not been seen, heard from, or anything for months.
No. In fact, all we've heard for the past few months is Kurt Angle and Jeff Jarrett and Mick Foley talking about the power the titles have.
Wow.
So, yeah. There's just... Everyone in TNA is apparently in charge at the moment.
Shouldn't Angelina just be able to squash any attempts at a rematch since she's got the title? Does that mean she has power?
I guess.
Does that mean the balance of power has shifted?
I suppose.
We had the match.
That match.
Charmel with Sojourner Bolt against the Survivor Chick and Awesome Kong. Survivor Chick came out, and all it read on the screen was Jenna. No last name.
Not even Survivor Jenna.
No, just Jenna. So she had this completely ridiculous song called I Will Survive. She then proceeded to do a cross between the Beautiful People's entrance and Melina's entrance. The lewdest entrance I've ever seen.
Basically, and I'm just describing what I saw. It was an entrance designed to show off her asshole. Not just the ass, but her actual tunnel.
And as she did this, they cut to the other girls who were appalled. Just appalled.
It looked, for all the world, that Jenna had gone on Survivor and earned her money, and her goal was now to channel this success into a career in hardcore pornography.
I have a bone to pick with the Observer. Actually, the Observer's from 1992, and it's not even Dave. It's the people that sent house show reports to Dave. If you read through the old Observers on this website, you'll see a bunch of house show matches, and there will be a match that say, Bushwhacker Luke against Hacksaw Jim Duggan. And whoever saw the match gave it -5 stars. I've been seeing this for a while. It always pisses me off, because it's like, I guarantee that fucking match was not -5 stars. Mm-hmm. I'm sure it was the worst match on the show. I'm sure if you were watching a lot of Japanese pro wrestling in the early 90s, or even some of the best stuff in WCW, or even the best stuff in WWE, I'm sure that was the worst match you saw. But it was not fucking -5 stars. And these assholes that sent in these matches claiming they were -5 stars, they had no idea what they were in for in 2009.
That is clear.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Bushwhacker Luke.
You don't have to pay to watch Luke and Duggan instead of this match?
That would have been one of the best matches on this fucking show.
Yes.
I guarantee it.
Yes.
So they had this match.
I hope for their sake those people died before 2009 came along. They didn't have to witness this.
Jenna, she got worse the longer the match went on. She got completely blown up. She could do absolutely nothing. She had the worst offense I've ever seen in my entire life. People were booing. They tried the catfight spot where they roll over the ref, and nobody cared at all. The only fucking thing missing from this was the Fire Russo chant. I have no idea how we didn't get that chant during this match.
I think I heard one guy say it one time, and when his friends did not join in, he immediately gave up.
So Survivor Chick ended up ripping out some of Charmel's extensions. So then Sojo hit the ring, and she got tossed outside. Kong was supposed to catch her, but missed and did not care at all. I mean, not at all. So then Charmel demanded Kong give her the extensions, which Jenna had given Kong. Kong gave her a karate chop to the neck. Jenna proceeded to do a lap dance on her face and pin her with her vagina. This was the worst women's match I've ever seen in my whole entire life.
I still maintain it was the worst match I ever saw. Jenna, who had earlier been tripped by Sojo Bolt and had fallen to the earth unmoving.
Yeah.
Like she'd been shot in the head with a large gun.
Yes.
And after this, and the match continued, she made her comeback with, yes, the worst offense I've ever seen. Worst punches ever.
And just stopped selling completely.
Yeah. And then by the time this match was done, okay, I will now do my sexy dance on Charmel's face.
I'm going to go watch this match again, actually, I just need to prove to myself that I actually saw it.
I'm just going to read my notes verbatim here. They're brief, but I want you to know every word is in capital letters. And followed by an exclamation point. Jenna's entrance, Charmel's gear, it's horrible, it's getting worse, Jenna is babyface, worst comeback ever, worst match ever. Thumbs down.
-5 stars, everybody.
-5 stars.
That was a legitimate, honest-to-God, -5-star match.
I mentioned during this, it was so much worse than I expected, and you asked what I was expecting, and that was a fair question. And all I can say is, my imagination was limited.
WWE would have found a way to smoke and mirrors this. Or actually, better yet, they wouldn't have ever put this match together. Not TNA. Oh, no. They had Jenna running ropes.
They would have...
Supposedly. I don't know actually what it was that she really did.
I am still more offended by her punches than her rope running.
If you want to even call them that.
Her hand strikes. They were the worst I've ever seen. I think there were two kids outside your condo here playing basketball. I think if we went out there and said, throw fake punches at your little brother, it would have been a million times better.
Oh, of course it would have. Yeah. Without any question whatsoever.
I think anyone listening to this could have had a better match.
Granny and Brent would have had a better brawl.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly.
Without hurting each other.
Nash did an interview talking about his match with AJ. Said that those geeks Foley had been talking to had been there for 5 years and were in the exact same spot. Lovely. Said he didn't get the job done tonight, he would retire. Yes. A retirement match on pay-per-view where they shot the angle halfway through the pay-per-view.
Not just halfway through the pay-per-view. They shot the angle immediately before the match.
Yeah. Guaranteed he'd win the belt, which is what babyfaces do, and he's a heel. So anyway, he won the belt. AJ and Nash. Dave said this was the best thing on the show up to this point. I have no idea what match he was watching.
I think that was an outright lie.
AJ went for his legs. The match was really, really slow. They botched the spot in the corner and immediately did it again.
Yes.
AJ was still killing himself for this stupid show. Nash wasn't even breathing hard. And keep in mind, this is not a guy that can even do any cardio whatsoever. He can't even run. So AJ did a Garvin Stomp. I think Nash fell asleep. AJ put him in a fake submission. I don't know what it was supposed to be. Then a face lock. And Nash, by the way, for those of you keeping track, the story of Nash's hair has been a story for decades now. And after all these years, it's starting to thin. And if there was ever anything that Nash did not need to make him look even older, this was it. This poor guy. So he ate the Pele to a shockingly big reaction, but then kicked out and then pinned him out of nowhere with a chokeslam clean.
Yes.
It is 2009.
Kevin Nash is pinning AJ Styles for championships on pay-per-view.
Clean.
Yes. This was a bad match. There was a point, because...
it's amazing. In matches where you want to have a clean finish, they have bullshit. Uh-huh. And in matches where you almost have to have a bullshit finish, they do it clean. It's amazing.
I believe that was the only clean finish on the show.
Jesus
I believe it was. But there was a point where, Nash had the comeback. Nash had the heat. He was doing his offense. It was plodding. It was slow, but it's Nash. And, then AJ started his comeback. And then he had a couple forearms. And then Nash laid there.
Look at my shoulder spasming. Oh, it stopped. Oh. Okay, go on.
Yeah, but Nash ate a couple forearms, then he just laid there. And so AJ laid on his back and shouted, "Is he out? Is he out?" And he kept wrestling, and this is the point where Nash just laid down and lay on his ass for a while. And I was certain that on one of these forearms, AJ had just clobbered him and knocked him goofy. After the show, I went back and watched, and I don't think so. I think it was a planned, what do you call it, a work shoot?
I don't know.
We were supposed to
Why are we still talking
Nash
about
Nash had actually been knocked out. He was
match.
just laying down for a while. Yeah, it was bad.
This was when Lauren went to the dressing room to follow up on the women's title thing, and Slick Johnson came out of the shower. He had been boinking Madison Rayne or something, and Madison told Lauren to keep her mouth shut about this. Now, I realize some of you are going to say, but Brian, sometimes you pretend that the cameras aren't there. Fine! But in this situation, Lauren was talking to the camera.
Yes.
So you cannot pretend it was not there, unless you want to pretend it vanished, which it didn't.
or you can pretend Madison Rayne is legitimately retarded, and she does not know what a camera is. Maybe there's a camera in disguise.
Booker and Scott Steiner against Beer Money. 2.25 stars. This actually was on its way to being the best match on the show, until, of course, the finish. Storm spitting beer in Steiner's face, and they hit their finish. But the ref, somehow, was down. I have no fucking idea how.
They were saying he had beer in his face.
How? He wasn't even close to this spot.
I have no idea.
So he finally goes to count, and Booker pulls him out of the ring. And then Booker claims that Storm had spat beer in the ref's eyes. So then Booker hit Rude with an axe kick on the ropes, and Steiner cradled him. And the key was that the ref and Storm are both sides out of the ring, and they're both having a race. The ref is trying to get in to count the pin, and Storm is trying to get in to count it out. They both start from the same spot, and Earl fucking Hebner wins the race with James Storm. Storm has to pretend he is slower than Earl fucking Hebner.
You're actually, it's worse than you're making it sound. Not only did Earl get there first, he got there and counted to 3 before James Storm can get there.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It started off, it was just a routine kind of boring tag match, and then as the heat progressed, the heat progressed, the heat got louder and louder, and then when he got the hot tag, people were into it, and it was fun for a while. And then the cliff came, and it just turned 90 degrees straight down to the earth and dove deep down there. So
you only see finishes fucked up like this in TNA. I mean, when's the last time we saw a WWE finish on any show this badly screwed up? And this happens all the time.
Not that it was.
This happened throughout the show. Uh-huh. These finishes were so badly timed, nobody knows what they're doing. Everybody's out of position, and they all just look like idiots. How? Well, their agents suck. That's obvious.
Clearly. Or just no one's paying attention. Either way.
Borash interviewed Booker and Steiner, and they did a promo saying they told us so. I guess they told us this would be the worst pay-per-view in years.
It was very strange because they never do post-match promos, and here they did. And it was fine, but it didn't lead to anything. They decided randomly, we're going to do a post-match promo now. And they did, and then they never did another one.
Joe did a promo saying his mentor was here and ready for war, promised to deliver Sting's head to this man. It was amazing on the show to see guys like Joe and AJ still giving 100%. I mean, just how could you care? How could you possibly want to give your all to this pay-per-view? So they had a match. Joe beat him all over the place early, including into the crowd. None of this was a DQ.
They did lots and lots of crowd brawling, and after fighting the crowd for several minutes, they went into the ring and proceeded to take turns putting rest holds on each other.
Yeah. You know, the best part is after the show was over, they had the fucking temerity to air a commercial for Hard Justice, their next pay-per-view. And they announced that all of the matches at Hard Justice are no DQ or Extreme Rules or something like that. And I was like, so you set that up by having a pay-per-view where everybody just did whatever they wanted in all the matches.
I am trying to remember the last time I saw a disqualification in TNA.
Never!
It's been fucking years.
Joe did a big dive. The crowd cheered. He's a heel. Slick Johnson was the referee. Clearly nobody in TNA management even watches the pay-per-views. This guy just fucking came out of the shower with one of the girls in the match where he fucked up the finish, and he's just back refereeing like nothing happened. They didn't even make mention of him. Sting stopped selling at one point. I love when Sting stops selling because he's getting punched in the corner. It is time for him to come back, so he just stops selling. And he takes like 5 punches in a row, and then he blocks one and starts a comeback. Why the fuck do you bother blocking it? You're not even selling any of them. So he makes his comeback and puts Joe in the death lock. And suddenly out comes Taz, looking completely square. Taz comes down to the ring. I'm trying to think. He looks like a refrigerator or something. Like a I don't know. So he rolls down to the ring and looking like a piece of luggage. And as soon as Joe sees him, I guess the gimmick is that whenever Joe sees Taz, he goes crazy.
Yes, the deal is Joe is the Undertaker and Taz is the Urn.
So Joe's locked in this hold. He can't get out. He's about to tap. He sees Taz. He stops selling, breaks out of the hold, and starts
He breaks out of the hold, and then Sting cut him off and started going for covers.
That's what I'm getting to, jackass. Right. He powers out of the hold. He stops selling. He starts going nutty with all these punches, and then he just gets elbowed and falls down.
Yes.
Way to go, Joe. Way to go, Taz. Sting gets a clothesline off the top, goes for a second one, gets crotched. Then Joe tried the muscle buster, but he couldn't get Sting up. They both kind of fell down, and then he put him in a choke, got the submission. Again, match completely fucking fell apart at the finish, and then afterwards, Taz got in the ring and looked blocky, and no one cared.
Yes,
what
indeed.
more is there to say?
I also like how it appeared that Sting locked on the Scorpion, and Joe fought, and I think Sting, I don't know if he thought Taz was going to walk out or if he was waiting for music, but Sting has just kind of started to let go of the hold. And he started standing up straight. He never actually technically let go, but for a while it was clear that Joe was not in any pain at all. There's nothing in this position to indicate he should submit. But darn it, he kept fighting. And then Taz came out. So there again is just poor planning, poor communication, people not knowing what was going on.
They announced that Lashley had signed, and they had clips of him doing a radio interview where he said he couldn't wait to have a fight with Brock Lesnar.
Yes. The Lashley announcement was devoted to talking about how great Brock Lesnar is.
And now he can't wait to wrestle him or fight him.
You better wait. Either way, you'd better keep waiting.
And by the way, they announced Lashley had signed. He's already been on pay-per-view and TV. And several months ago, when I announced that the guy wasn't under contract, and they put the fucking guy on TV without a contract, I had everybody telling me how stupid I was. Oh, Brian, TNA would never be so dumb. You're an idiot. Yeah, well, who's the idiot now? Angle and Foley. Oh, no, first we had the interview with Borash saying, very solemn atmosphere here backstage. No shit?
Mm-hmm.
So Foley said he was going to create pain and exploit weaknesses.
This is actually a fucking great promo, building up this match here, and I thought, boy, if they had put this on the free TV show,
of course not.
People might have watched it and bought the show.
No, absolutely not. So they had a match, and Angle has a torn groin. Foley's 45 or 42 or 43 or whatever he is and broken down. They went at half speed. there was a moment where you could see Dixie Carter sitting there watching, and I just thought, what's this woman thinking? I bet she's thinking, what a great pay-per-view I'm witnessing here live. They did some stuff. Foley got backdropped on steel steps. Dunn was talking about all those powerful belts. I'm so sick of hearing about these powerful belts. So then we had Foley doing his big elbow off the thing onto the cement. What an idiot.
The worst part was he got no
one cared.
No. The story of this match was just two broken old dudes killing themselves for no reaction.
Yeah.
Happened many times. But the elbow was worse to me because remember on Impact when Homicide was about to pin Suicide and he looks at Suicide, looks at the briefcase, looks at the belt, looks around, looks at all the crowd, and they all started to cheer.
Sure.
He built up the moment.
Yeah.
Mick Foley, who's been doing this shit a lot longer than Homicide, threw Kurt out in the apron, or onto the floor, climbed out in the apron, and jumped off with an elbow.
Now, keep in mind the director here he's got his trigger finger on the button to cut to different angles. This fucking guy didn't even have time to switch angles by the time Foley was jumping.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I thought that same thing. I was like, you couldn't... I mean, maybe like earlier you tease the spot and then later you do it, or at least get out there on the apron and think about it a bit because, Christ, you're old. No, he just threw him outside and didn't elbow off the apron. Wow. So they did some more stuff. Angle finally put him in the ankle lock, and Foley got the ropes, and then Angle pulled him back in the middle of the ring. And I was thinking, maybe they could do something somewhat creative, like, Foley puts the claw on himself and passes out. No, he just took the sock off and then tapped.
That was the best part.
Because apparently if you have a sock on your hand and you tap, it doesn't count.
Right.
I'll ask Dane about that at the next press conference for UFC.
If a guy taps out with a sock on his hand without counting as an official submission.
Sure. Is that allowed? So he did this bullshit, and then that was the end. I gave it 2.5 stars. They tried. They did the best they could. But... Then Nash, Joe, Steiner, Booker, and Taz came out and celebrated with Kurt. Tenay said, this is a worst-case scenario, I'll say.
It was totally not the best-case scenario. Yes, and then the main event Mafia had a big party. And then when you said earlier they had the temerity, I thought you were going to reference the highlight package for this show, where they went back
and... Well, they did that, too.
They recapped everything you had just paid so much money to watch. Just a terrible, terrible, terrible program. Do not get the replay unless, for historical purposes, you feel you must see the worst match of all time.
Don't even do that, everybody. Just come on now. We do not need to. We do not need to. What's the word? Encourage this behavior by TNA.
It's true.
Do not
Everyone
support.
Pirate this show.
Jesus. How about just do not support this pay-per-view? Just don't watch it. Just
go better things of your life. Go
get the replay of UFC 100 for Christ's sake.
Call your mother.
Yeah.
Get a hobby.
Get swine flu.
Get
something.
Swine flu. I just want to note one more thing here. They were. We watched that match last, so it's at the end of my notes. But as they were building up the women's match and going, recapping the storyline, Mike Tenay said, very matter-of-factly, that the beautiful people have been undone by, and this is a direct quote, their fear of a pet tarantula. And I believe that's as much emotion as he put into it.
Yes.
So absurd.
Thumbs down, everybody. Thumbs down.
Giant, raving, angry thumbs down.
I'll be back in just a moment with Dave, who I'm pretty sure gave it a thumbs down, but if not, we'll have a chit-chat. That's coming up in just a second.
Have a chit-chat.
I'll talk to you in a second.
Bye.
In like 1 second.